would be really nice, wouldn't it, if Joe Biden was actually this radical, this Marxist Leninist, this socialist that the Republicans and people on the right like to castigate Joe Biden as being. But I mean, case in point, the motherfucker only wants to cancel $2,000 in student loan debt, even though it's within his authority with a pen stroke to cancel all of it. Doesn't need any type of congressional approval or anything. This is the type of right wing centrism, means testing, hope and change that Biden will be bringing to office. As he said, nothing would fundamentally change. This is just another example of that. I mean, what a fucking piece of shit, honestly. Like, this is the best that the Democratic Party can prop up and vomit up. Again, could have had Bernie. He's not perfect. He's not a radical either, but at least he was for the bare minimum, like canceling student loan debt, like supporting a Green New Deal so we have a inhabitable planet to live on. Kind of important. Supporting Medicare for all so we don't have tens of thousands of people dying in the US because they don't have health care. And this is a really good quote, or tweet I should say, by Brianna Joy Gray, Bernie's former press secretary, co-host I think of the Bad Faith podcast. Remember, Joe Biden could unilaterally and without needing congressional help cancel all student loan debt. This offers like peeing on a person on fire to help them, all while holding a working fire. I know, right? Like, he's just such a piece of neoliberal, corporatist piece of shit. This is the best he can do during a pandemic. But again, that is the whole reason why the establishment, why figures like Barack Obama were working behind the scenes to make sure that Bernie Sanders wasn't the Democratic candidate for president, because they knew Bernie would actually fight like hell to cancel student loan debt, to make sure we got Medicare for all, to fight for, a wealth tax, reining in Wall Street, ending the wars. To a certain extent, again, Bernie could be further left on some issues, but have been so much fucking better than Joe Biden and his means testing fucking student debt relief. I mean, for God's sakes. It's fucking ridiculous. And this is, again, the point that people like Chris Hedges has pointed out, the complete failings of the Democratic Party to address the needs of the working class means whoever comes after Biden, whoever comes after Trump, will be a much more competent fascist, whether it's, Tom Cotton, Mike Pompeo, or whoever else. But I mean, why do you need to call on Congress to cancel 10,000 of it, Joe Biden? You centrist fucking POS. You could cancel all of it yourself. But again, because of his little milk toast tweaks around the edges, propping up the status quo, saying he would veto Medicare for all during a pandemic, is the exact reason he's in this position. Okay? But still, it's so disgusting and infuriating, and he has the ability to greatly improve the material conditions of people's lives in a great way if he was to, with the stroke of a pen. Again, he could do it unilaterally, as Brianna Joy Gray points out, without any type of congressional approval. Stroke of a pen, cancel all student loan debt, all 1.5 trillion or however much it is. Like, and he won't. Like, and again, Democrats right now, instead of trying to trying to impeach Trump again and remove him from office, even though his term will end in 9 days from now, January 20th, how about using all of their social media platforms to organize protests, rallies, marches, work strikes, general strikes, to make sure Joe Biden cancels student loan debt? Because again, that is something completely within his ability to do. That would be a much better use of time, instead of clutching pearls about how Trump incited this insurrection, which frankly, like the tweets, I don't think you can say like that was Trump advocating for direct action for acts of violence at the Capitol. I just don't think the evidence is there. And again, it's very telling what the Democrats were willing to use their political capital on with regards to impeaching Trump. There was a lot more substantive things they could have went after him on. Instead, it was Ukraine and then supposedly inciting violence at this, attempted insurrection at the Capitol. An aide from Biden informed the media the president-elect's plans on Friday afternoon. The official also revealed that Biden will urge Congress to extend payment pause scheduled to expire this month. Like, I don't need a fucking payment pause. Creepy Uncle Joe. Cancel the whole fucking thing. I mean, Jesus. Again, the country's going to slide further and further into fascism because we don't actually have a party in the U.S. that is for the working people. They're both controlled by the same corporate interests, and the failings of the Democrats, how they've abandoned the working class, 30, 40 years ago in a conscious choice that they made. Country's going to continue to slide further and further into fascism, and things like we saw at the Capitol are going to continue to get worse as people's material conditions continue to deteriorate. And the Democratic Party, this is the best that they can prop up. I mean, this means testing student debt. I mean, for fuck's sake. Still, he's facing pressure from citizens and other politicians to cancel more of the debt. All you need is a flick of the pen. I mean, it's pretty pathetic when Chuck Schumer is to the left of Joe Biden, right? New York Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer, who's in favor of just cancel all of it. Cancel all of it. You don't need to put a number. All of it. Be gone. Student loan debt. Bye-bye. I mean, for God's sakes. Yeah. And then, of course, even this article doesn't bring up how Bernie Sanders, if he had been elected, would have canceled all of it. Okay? I mean, for God's sakes. Let's go back to Brianna Joy Gray's tweet here. Pretty telling, though, in my opinion, frankly. This is where Biden's head's at, even though we're experiencing the worst economic conditions since the Great Depression. Tens of millions of people have lost their jobs, and, we only canceled 10,000 of it. I mean, Jesus Christ. It's pathetic. Yep, here we go. As an aside, this is what I was mentioning. As an aside, one funny thing about the coverage of this issue is how journalists go out of their way to avoid mentioning Bernie's plan to cancel all student debt. This article references Warren's $50K plan, but literally doesn't mention Bernie at all. It's probably by design. They don't want you to know there's actually somebody out there who has largely been a champion of the working class since he's been in politics, that being Bernard Sanders. Again, not surprising that Biden is going this means-tested neoliberal route, but still deeply disgusting and disturbing that this is the so-called party for the working people. Get the fuck out of here. Both parties are completely bought and paid for by the corporations. And frankly, I don't know how you could argue otherwise at this point. If you like the video, like the damn video. Subscribe for more content. Peace. Much love.